Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
Powerhouse Paranormal
Topics with the umpires
of the unexplained. Sheena Metal.
That's right. It's Haunted Playground right here on LA Talk Radio. For more info on the show, hauntedplayground.com, latalkradio.com. And, of course, it's Psychic Tuesday, so we're doing Lightworkers Unite. We're at lightworkersunite.com, and I'm at sheenametalspiritual.com. On Psychic Tuesday, I always bring in other Lightworkers, and then we do readings, healing, spiritual counseling. We Facebook Live it. Hello, Facebook Live. We have a great chat room. People are in there making friends, which I think is so important. And that's the story. I'm also the founder of a movement of peace, love, kindness, and unity. We're at raisingthevibration.org is our new nonprofit hub. IamRaisingTheVibration.com is our original movement site. You can go to both. And you can also find me at IamRaisingYourVibration.com. That's my spiritual practice. Or at Sheena Metal Spiritual.com. Psychic Tuesdays are fun. I have two wonderful psychic paranormal web series. One is Living with the Dead with the amazing Patty Negri at wearelivingwiththedead.com, and Altered with the General Hospital's own Carolyn Hennessy at wearealtered.com. Live shows coming up for that. And of course, I'm a staff pastor at the Founders at Metropolitan Community Church in Hollywood, and I do an interfaith service there once a month called Saturday Night Spiritual. And my next one is on July 20th. And if she's free, I'm going to ask my guest sitting right next to me if she wants to come and speak a little bit at that one, because I would love that. Please welcome my fellow Lightworker, who is a regular here on Lightworkers Unite, and a dear friend, the amazing Shauna Grace. How are you, my friend?
I am beautiful. I'm having an amazing day. How are
glad.
you?
And you're in pink and I'm in purple, so we're all spiritual and stuff.
Yes, love and light. Love.
How do you, so I just came back from Dallas. I'm teaching a seminar called Aspects of Spiritual Awareness with Sheena Metal. And that was my first seminar that was just mine. Very exciting. And everyone always asks you, like, how do you identify yourself? And you don't want to give 25 terms, although that's why I always use Lightworker, because it's so general. So how do you like to be identified? I mean, when people ask you about your gifts, what do you say?
That is such a great question. The way I identify myself is I am a psychic medium,
okay,
as well as a medical intuitive, and I specialize in working with empathic entrepreneurs,
okay,
and just empaths in general. Quite to be perfectly frank, and helping them not only recognize but fully understand and connect to their own natural intuitive gifts.
Yeah, me too.
And owning how to expand them and at the same time hone them.
Mm-hmm.
That really supports them in owning their own autonomy.
Yeah, I didn't really know that was even a thing. I thought just I had trouble grasping my own empathic gifts until I started working with clients a lot and realized that it's what a lot of them have problems with.
Oh, yeah.
So I threw that in as a workshop in Dallas, and I think it was the biggest one. Mm-hmm. And I want to call it, I want to subtitle it, It's Time for the Crying, because we all cried a lot. I don't think there was any Kleenex left by the time it was done at Miracles of Joy in Louisville, Texas. So now that's the thing. And now I'm going to do an online webinar on August 9th with Joy from Miracles of Joy. And I'm going to redo my workshop, but do it as a webinar so everyone all over the world can join. Because
I love it.
Because, I mean, it's, I think there are two major humanitarian crises going on in our species right now.
Yes.
One is that so many people are becoming and realizing they're empaths and don't know what to do with it. And the other thing is more and more narcissists. And narcissists and empaths, it's a weird dance with us.
Ooh, so can I tell you some fun little story on
absolutely.
That note? Because this is a big question that comes up a lot. Time and time again, so many empathic women and men will say, "Gosh, why am I always seeming to attract these narcissists?" And there's been books and books upon the very topic in one way or another. And what's quite interesting is if you think about the development, right? So if you take the example of like a diagnosed or a diagnosable narcissist,
okay,
there's in the frontal cortex of the brain, I can't remember off the top of my head this particular area what the proper term is, but basically the area that allows us to really have true empathy.
Mm-hmm.
You literally in brain scans can see that that area is underdeveloped in a narcissist. Mm-hmm. Now it's curious, at least in my own research and experience related to this topic.
And by underdeveloped, Shauna means it's just gone. It's not there. It's just an empty hole.
Well, what happens is if you think about trauma and how that can correlate into, particularly with children in their own development, if you take an empath or an adult empath and you take an adult diagnosed narcissist, and if say they have the exact same trauma in their background, two things very often that can happen with trauma. One, the empath, very often part of what makes them become that way, aside from just perhaps being born being extra sensitive to energy and so forth, is they tend to take on other people's emotions. So they take on the energy around them in order to also, in a way, help deal with the trauma going on. And for a narcissist, when the pain has been so intense, especially as a traumatized child, one way of not trying to basically one way to keep yourself safe, or rather literally to survive, you cut off. So because if you don't feel the emotional pain and you don't feel that, then you can survive. So in a way, and this is something I'm kind of wanting to investigate even more, is this very correlation, because and I think that's part of why the narcissist and the empath, and why there's this constant sucking, or that's the way it's perceived by the narcissistic partner, because they feed off of that. But part of it is because that part is not developed, and that came from a way of surviving. And so by understanding that, if someone, say, has a lot of narcissistic tendencies and you're aware of this, you can actually work with your own chemistry and yourself to try to develop new ways of being and new access points for themselves, and how to operate and connect from a more empathic or just compassionate level. You don't have to always be a narcissist, and I'm talking, go ahead.
But most narcissists, one, don't believe they're narcissists, and two, they think they're victims, and two, some of them actually like being narcissists.
Oh, absolutely.
And I also think, I agree with you, and because I think everything is nature and nurture. I think there are just some narcissists that come out of the box like that. There's no explanation for why. Happy family.
Oh, 100%.
Just like some people, you look at their lives and say, how can you have any empathy with everything you've been through? Yet they still do.
Right. And that's why, and the more you continue to research and investigate just the topic of narcissists in and of itself, you come to discover there are varying kinds of narcissists.
Yes.
And within that, and understanding that spectrum, especially if you are an empath and you've noticed a pattern of unknowingly having a blind spot in this area, you can start to bring new awareness and notice, this impulse not only is, an old habit or an old pattern, but also you have a new awareness. You can choose to address and or deal with those types of situations differently, so you're not falling into that same pattern, because we don't need to.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. And also, if you have a narcissist in your life and you don't know how to control them, you can control narcissists by creating boundaries and edges for them.
Yes.
It's like, and I always laugh. I always say this when I teach my class, that it's like how every season on Walking Dead, there's one character who decides, no, my zombie relative still loves me, and they're not going to attack me. And they keep them like on a leash or a cage. And then eventually, they get their face eaten.
I find it to be, especially because I have a lot of history with narcissistic personalities that I've unknowingly attracted in my past.
Of course.
Learning how to learn from that.
Of course.
And
me too.
And sometimes I feel like, especially for empaths or just, people who have that kind of heart-centeredness, it's easy to get stuck in the questioning of, man, like, why are they like this? Why can't they? And all of those, they have the potential. Because the thing about when you are an empath, you feel the possibility within other people.
Right.
You can feel that light.
That's how we get into bad relationships.
Right.
Because we think, I can fix this person. If I just love them enough, I can fix everything.
Hashtag codependency.
Yeah.
But
recovering codependent.
Me too. And so we're in this together, my friend.
Yes, we are.
But what I was going to say though is, if that, for me in those experiences, first off, accepting what is, right? And being like, you know what? It's okay if I don't know the answer to the why, because in the end, we all have choice. And the more we allow ourselves to become empowered in our conscious choices, whatever they are.
Yep.
And also recognizing that others, including narcissists, whether they're aware of that or not, they have choice as well. And you can have compassion for that, but that does not mean that we have to fall into that, I feel bad, so I'm going to put myself second. It's this really interesting balance. And one of the things I try to remind myself is, when I make a choice in service of my highest and best good, that in turn, because of whatever comes after that in relation to our own personal journeys, then that in turn is in the person highest and best good for the other person, whether they know it or not. We need to relinquish the responsibility of the free will of other people.
Yeah.
Because it's not yours.
I agree. Absolutely. And I guess you're saying that in some ways narcissists need love too.
Yes.
Yeah, but not by me.
And maybe
Namaste away. I think that also part of the biggest problem with the narcissist epidemic, Shauna, is that we indulge them because we don't know what to do. A lot of people fear them. It's interesting. I'm going to write a post about narcissism today. It's interesting that we're talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to write a post about narcissism today, and it's going to encompass in one sentence 5 situations that I've dealt with in the last 5 years. And I think that pretty much encompasses things that everyone goes through with narcissists. And the answer at the end is going to be walk away because they're all narcissists. And there's all different kinds, right? And they'll tell you different things, and they work in different ways. But I don't believe that. I understand why we have to tolerate them in our lives, but I don't believe that they're ever a good thing for an empath.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like, I can't remember the author, and I'm so sorry. I'll try to
if you work for one and you need the job, or you're married to one and you can't get away, or you're married to one and the mother is married to somebody and the mother is one, what are you going to do? So there are times where you can't get away.
Right. And that's when really understanding and working with your experience and researching like how to deal and how to create boundaries around certain types of personalities for yourself. It's like, and I feel like it's really important on this topic because I think it's so easy for us to go, even as empaths, to and you can feel because of the pain and the hurt to do an us versus them.
Sure.
And at the same time, we do know that we all are connected. There is a unity consciousness. And so it is absolutely possible to own who you be, to have your own autonomy, and also recognize that even if it is someone who's been hurtful and is a narcissist, you can still send love from a soul level, from a higher plane to them, and have them, and not necessarily have them in your life. And especially with this awakening consciousness, one thing that's very easy that can take place. And I feel really compelled to share this. And you'll notice this, especially when people are first starting their journey, is, our ego, and it is important to have a healthy ego. But I've also seen people who, I'm just going to say it, can at first be very empathic, very loving, but then in turn, I've had, because of their own journey, they start to actually shift and utilize that with very strong narcissistic tendencies.
Well, and a lot of narcissists, if we're going to be completely honest on it, just bamboozle you.
Yeah.
They show you a different front in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then once you get in, you see that my mama used to always say, because my dad was a total narcissist. And that maybe that explains all that I've had in my life. And my mom used to always say, I walked down the aisle with one man and up the aisle with another. I mean, he literally
100%.
changed the night they got married. Because I think for him, that was the moment of feeling like he had her forever, so he could be who he wanted to be. With narcissists, it can be all different times. It can be a week into the relationship. It can be I had a long distance thing once. Was wonderful until we were in the same place, and then as soon as the move in happened, boom. I mean, I think once they think that they're in, then they're in.
I've seen this so many times and experienced it in my life as well. And it's like, especially with the marriage thing, the minute the marriage certificate is signed, boom, something changes. It's like, oh yeah, I got what I want. Okay, now you can go make me a sandwich.
Yep. I have one that walks around telling everybody that they're my best friend while they do everything they can to turn everybody they know against me. I mean, there's all different things that they do. So you can't really get it. There's no one set pattern to get a handle on.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think is so beguiling about it is you're trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, this wasn't like the last one. So is this one? But if you look at any illness like cancer or, diabetes, just because 5 people are diabetics doesn't mean they're all going to have the same symptoms.
Yeah.
Different people, it attacks in different ways. Cancer attacks people in different ways, in different places. Narcissism is an illness. And narcissists attack you in different ways. So you have to just identify the energy of what it is to be a narcissist. And most importantly, how they're making you feel.
Yep.
And it's funny how so many people in my empath class the other night were asking, well, I always thought I was a narcissist because that's what somebody told me. Well, of course, the narcissist always tells you you're the narcissist. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the ultimate deflection, right?
Oh, yeah. Hashtag gaslighting. And the thing is, too, here's...
I like that everything comes with a hashtag.
Apparently that's what it is today.
Yes.
Well, and
hashtag what the fuck. That's my hashtag for narcissists.
Well, and having the ability to self-reflect, and I think if you ever are questioning whether or not you have these particular tendencies, or if someone has said this to you, one thing is really honestly looking at when it comes to disagreement or owning, a situation. First off, do you have the ability to recognize your own accountability in a situation?
Yeah.
One thing about narcissists, from my experience and from what I've seen many, many times in different ways, is that it is very difficult for them to recognize what is theirs and what is not. It's like, no, I have no accountability. These people, you did this, you did that. It's all your fault. When in fact, with every situation, both good and sometimes not so good, there is a level of accountability. Now, if you'd be very careful when you say that, though, right? Because it's, if you've been a victim, for example, of sexual abuse, you can't just be like, oh, well, what was your fault? Like, no, that's we're not going there. But when it comes to healing, sometimes the accountability can actually come in a very different way. So for me, I don't know why this is just really coming through. So I thank you for holding space and letting me share this.
You bet.
Is, because I have experienced sexual assault, and that's something I've had to do a lot of healing work around, and how much that actually affected me growing up. And one of the things why I couldn't quite let go of a certain pain point when it came to certain levels of intimacy or owning my own sensuality or femininity, if you will, was I recognized there was an aspect that I wasn't willing to be accountable for, and I had to look at that. And for me, and I'm only speaking for me, but I feel like there's someone out there that definitely needs to hear this today, is my accountability with this particular situation that occurred was that I had to accept the fact that I did not speak up and say something when I wanted to. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand why I didn't. It was a way to survive. Mm-hmm. I didn't think there was space. I felt like the end of the world by saying something. But by simply accepting that as an example, and then forgiving the part of myself, whatever needs forgiveness around that, has allowed me to not only heal that, but to also recognize that I am not that little child or that young teenage girl anymore. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to, with love, see what is mine and what is not. And being able to look at things from multiple perspectives can really help so much in your own healing work and your own empowerment, and also not taking on what is not yours.
I agree, but I do think it's important, and I'm not a victim of sexual abuse, so I will say that I'm a victim of every other kind of abuse in the world. That's not true. I say that, but that's not true. Once in a relationship, but that's a whole different kind of thing than when you're a kid.
Yeah.
I think it's always important, even if you're a victim of sexual abuse, to ask, what did I do? Mm-hmm. Not that the answer is you did anything, but you ask the question so that you can then affirm with yourself, nothing.
Exactly.
If you never ask the question, then it just hides there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're so good at self-shaming and self-blaming.
Absolutely. I'm going to do the weirdest thing ever. Watch this. This is how you know it's live. I just knocked my cane over with a shoe because I hate it sitting there. But now we all know that sometimes I walk with a cane because I busted my knees. So that was a fun story in Dallas. So how'd you do that? And everywhere in the airport. So how'd you do that? Well, there was this musical about women's wrestling, and I fell off the stage. And then everyone looks, because I don't think that's the answer they think they're going to get from me. But I think they're going to get like, I tripped over my Pomeranian. But
oh my goodness, poor puppy.
But that's the thing. That's how you can tell the difference in a narcissist and an empath, is that I always say an empath always asks, what did I do? And a narcissist always asks, what did you do?
Ooh,
so if there's somebody in your life who's always saying, like, if you walk up to somebody and they you say, oh my God, somebody just punched me in the face and took my purse, and they say, well, what did you do to cause that? That's somebody.
Ding, ding, ding.
You got to keep your eye on that person, because that's not how a normal person reacts. So
right?
If you want to get on the air with us and get a reading, a healing, more advice about narcissism, just text me, 818-437-0886. Here's my cell phone, so you're not texting somebody you don't know. You're actually texting me, and we are happy to get you on the air. Just text me your name and your number. We will put you in the queue, and then we will get rolling here, because it's Lightworkers Unite right here on Haunted Playground. So I just came back from this seminar, and it was really life-changing. And I cannot tell you what a beautiful thing it is and how hard it is for me not to move to Dallas every time I go there because I love it so much. I had that don't move to Dallas, don't move to Dallas, don't move to Dallas talk with myself today. And I'm not moving to Dallas. That's how it worked out. But Shauna and I are going to be back for Embrace Your Spirit in October and November. And it's going to be psychic and paranormal and loving and wonderful. And I can't wait to be there with you.
I can't wait to be there with you. This will be our second year together.
Yes, you've been there like 9 years or something. 150 years Shauna's been there.
I don't know quite that long, but I'll take it. Sure.
It's my second year.
Well, and every year is so beautiful and different, and it really is a special, really extraordinary experience. You know, Miracles of Joy, for those of you that don't know, is not only an extraordinary and beautiful metaphysical store, but it's also, I feel like it's kind of a in my view, the energy there, it's like a grounded point for wherever anyone is on their own spiritual journey. It's a safe place to come to connect, to explore, and have people who genuinely come from a heart space.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
You know, and the space there to see different spiritual practitioners. We're gonna have some amazing people at this event, and people come from all over the country to join us, and this is definitely going to be, I think, one of our biggest ones yet.
I agree. I think we're going to have a lot more folks from around the country.
Oh yeah, even more, and it's a blast. It really is, and I don't know of any other, you know, because I travel and speak and speak
Sure.
publicly and you know do motivational speaking and so forth on different stages, but
I
don't know. Thank you. I don't know of any other event thus far where people can come and not only have one-on-one direct time with top practitioners in their field, but also be surrounded by a collective of like-minded individuals from varying backgrounds where they can learn together and connect. Like, people make lifelong friends at this event. And so if you are considering, and the price point too is extraordinary.
It's amazing. And you know, a whole bunch of the folks that were at Embrace last year, September, October last year, actually bought packages to come to my seminar in June, and then they all were like a little pod. They hung out together, and then afterwards they were telling everybody else, oh, you have to come back for Embrace Your Spirit in October. So that it's neat to see that kind of buzz thing. One of the things that I do whenever I teach a class, whenever I do a gathering for my raisingthevibration.org movement, or I do a service at the Founders MCC, I always encourage people when they leave to make a friend.
Yeah.
So I always schedule into all my events a little hangout time afterwards.
Beautiful.
And even with my workshops in Dallas, some time afterwards for people to sort of mingle and have time with me, but also have time with each other, even after they whisk me away to private sessions, still that they could stay in that room and be with each other. And I told Joy that next time I go out for aspects of spiritual awareness next summer, whenever we do it in 2020, that I want to schedule a night where there's just like a little like pizza gathering or something where people can come and just make friends. Because part of how you grow spiritually, how you expand spiritually, how you stay away from the negativity that's not good for you, embrace the positivity that is good for you, is to build a like-minded tribe of people that get you. And a lot of folks that I teach, a lot of my clients, a lot of folks that Shauna teaches, and a lot of her clients are folks that are just realizing that they have gifts, or they're finding a different spiritual path, and they're not really sure where they want to go next, or they feel like a fish out of water and nobody they knows anybody like that. Like, if I got a problem, I can just call Shauna, I can call Patty Negri, I can call my best friend L.A. Weiss, I can call Angelica Perman or Rebecca Haywood or Paul Jasek or Jason McKean or any of the people you've seen on the show, Alex May, any of them, Joy Koff. But some people don't know anybody spiritual to call when they're having a crisis, or even when they're having an enlightening evolution moment, and they have no one to share it with. So meeting friends at something like this, or like I always say, during Lightworkers Unite, make a friend in the chat room. During any of my live broadcasts, make a friend in the chat room, because we need to build our tribe. Because the theme of Lightworkers Unite is, when you grow your tribe, you grow your vibe.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's true. The more your tribe grows, the more your vibration grows. And the more your vibration grows, the more you don't only help yourself and those that you love, but you also help the world, because that vibration feeds into all the vibration.
Beautiful
so
ripple effect.
It's so important to make friends that you have something in common with. And you can still be friends with your non-spiritual friends you don't have that in common with, and enjoy and love them. But you need to find people that connect with you on a soul level, once you
Yes.
realize that this is an important part of your life, you need to find others that understand you.
And that resonate with you. Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and you know, just to add to that, a lot of our clients, I feel like, at least for some of mine, and I also work with, professional, entrepreneurial,
I do too.
mission-driven, businesses, and they're in a different category in some ways with this, but everyone has to go through that process of coming out of the spiritual closet, and everyone's in a different place with that. And so coming to an event, for example, like Embrace Your Spirit,
Yep.
At Miracles of Joy or anything like that in your local area, even, you have the opportunity in a safe place to come and be seen, and you don't have to put on anything, you don't have to hide anything. You can just come in, and that, just having that experience, I think, also can help validate that it's okay where you are and who you are.
I agree. And it's interesting how everything happens in the right way, right? So how this mentoring thing, our webinar, our empath mentoring webinar for August 9th happened was I do a video from my bed on Facebook Live every Friday called I Am Raising Your Vibration. And I started doing it when my knees were so bad and I couldn't come to work for a month. Remember, you were scheduled for a bunch of those and I had to cancel you.
Poor thing.
So they're great. And sometimes we get, 500-700 comments at a time. And so I brought my tripod with me and I did one from my reading room at Miracles of Joy last Friday.
Nice.
So it was the first time I was coming live from Dallas, but still doing the same thing, just sitting in a chair in my reading room. And Joy was in her office and she did a watch party. So it was Miracles of Joy people and my people all together in the chat room, everybody making friends. And as soon as I got done with it, our friend John Capello came to visit me, who was at Embrace last year and has been at many of them. He's a wonderful medium. And the two of them were talking about a webinar that they had done together. And it all just clicked in my head. And I said to her that night, we could do a webinar. Instead of me doing a Facebook Live and you doing that and then driving everybody to just come out and see me in Dallas twice a year, what if we brought all our people together and I taught this class online? And it just sort of instinctually fell in that way. So now there's this opportunity for everybody I've ever done a class with and everybody I've ever had on Facebook Live to come together and meet each other and take a class together all over the world. Like,
I love it.
It's tribe, right?
Yes.
Let's all take a class together. That's what I love about what happens with Facebook Live and Instagram Live and YouTube. Is everybody can come together and everybody can be in the same class of life together, learning. And I may be the one speaking or you may be the one speaking, but we're all in it together having this wonderful same experience, which I don't know about you, but Shauna and I are both actors. That's why I was drawn to theater. The idea of having that experience with everyone while the whole audience is having it too. So what I love about theater and live music and live comedy and dance and all of the creative things that I love. And this is the same energy.
Oh yeah, 100%. That is yes, and to all of that. And and on the topic of social media and just in using this platform, a lot of us can feel so, how do I say this? Like overwhelmed, right? And inundated. And some people want to be like, oh, I just don't want all the negativity and this and that. But yes, that is out there. But there's also an extraordinary opportunity in sharing via Facebook Live, Instagram, social media, your post, no matter whether you have a quote unquote following or not, doesn't even matter. You just sharing a message from your heart, or you be sharing from a place of loving vulnerability, the impact that can have on someone who doesn't even comment or like I can't tell you how many times if I travel and I'm around people who also are friends with me on Facebook and they'll say, oh my goodness, I love, this post you did. And they may not have commented, right? Because then I at least know they saw it. Although I would love if they would like it if they happen to see it. But, sometimes you just don't. But
while you're here,
but
please like me.
Right. But
so easy. It's just like a click.
And that way I can be like, hey, boo. But on the other hand, though, that's such a beautiful opportunity to recognize that we do not always get to see the impact of the actions and how our words can truly help someone else. And so instead of coming at it from a place of like, oh, this sucks, instead of like, you know what, it's okay that I don't know. It's okay that I don't know the answer or how many people or whatever, because people just don't always comment or like. But that doesn't mean that your presence, your impact does not make a difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's so true. Just come and be part of the vibe.
Yeah.
But if you participate, if you do bloop, click the like, or even better, if you comment and make comments in there, then you can make friends.
Yes.
Because I see it in, a couple of folks that I've never met, a couple of clients that I met one through that, and one through doing something like that on a friend's Facebook group, offered to be the virtual ushers for my spiritual service. So I had 2 ushers at the church, and I have 2 ushers in the chat room that basically do the same thing. They greet everybody. One of them came out to my seminar this weekend in Dallas.
Nice.
I mean, so this is what it's about. And they are always in the chat room. Like I have one lovely person who's always in the chat room and is always just in the chat room putting my email over and over again, or putting my phone number in over and over again so people know how to get readings. I mean, everybody's in there helping each other. That's how life should be. It's nice to see a microcosm of how life should be.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And people say like, oh, well, don't you worry about trolls? And I'm like, trolls? I don't have any trolls. There's no trolls in Sheena land.
Right?
All the trolls are in my life. I don't let the trolls touch your life. But I mean, I don't even imagine, why there would be trolls, but
it happens. I mean, I feel, knock on wood, right? Very blessed in that I don't always have to deal with that. But, there is the occasional, right? Because things happen. If that comes up, I always have to tell my clients as they're growing their own businesses, if say something like that shows up, I always just lovingly remind them like, hey, look, you're moving up. You're spreading and you're sharing the light. And, the people I always come with my work, I always come with the intention, especially online, is, may this, whoever is meant to receive this, if there's whoever can heal or receive transformation through seeing this, witnessing this, connecting with this post or whatever it is, may that be so. And that I found to be very, very helpful. And, it's so funny. The other day, I actually got a friend request and I'm now friends with this Lama monk. From
like
Tibet.
An actual llama?
I am friends with llamas.
Llamas are on
I love
Facebook
llamas.
now?
Right. I love all. Yes, they are. They all, his name's Fred. No, I'm just kidding. This monk, this lama, Buddhist lama monk who lives in Tibet, who's on social media, and like we're now officially friends. And, it's just something simple as that. But, and he is real. It's not like some strange,
right.
catfish situation.
It's not like all the men from Nigeria that call me queen and ask me to marry them on Facebook.
Yeah, those I just kind of ignore, deny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of beautiful. Now, who knew? I never even thought I would have the opportunity.
That you'd be friends with a llama?
In Tibet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I love it. And he's super sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, connections.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
All kinds of friends that you meet and all kinds of wonderful people that you meet and all kinds of that's one of the things I'm excited about this webinar, is seeing people from all over the world, like in one place, like empaths coming together, like Empaths Unite. That's what I love about, because everything I do is very kind of group focused.
Yeah.
I don't really get people that just, I guess it's that there are people who feel like they're sort of putting their information out at someone. I feel more like I'm in it with everyone and I'm facilitating the circle of energy that's moving between all of us. And I'm just sort of being the ringmaster.
I love it.
The ringmaster isn't really the star of the show. The attractions are really the star of the circus. The ringmaster just kind of holds it all together.
I love it.
So everything I think that's growing up with a theater background originally.
Yeah. It reminds me of like the white
music.
clown, and traditional clown work.
Yeah.
So that particular type.
You know a lot about clowns.
I do like clowns.
Do you like clowns?
Well, well, not like.
So scared.
When I was in college, I had an amazing professor, and I did study clown for a year, and it's pretty fun.
So tell us about the white clown.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh gosh, on the spot. But basically, and I'm not talking about like bows with the clown style. If you think about European clown or just like the archetype of clown, there's different types. So for example, the white clown kind of is you tend to be, as far as what I can remember, kind of like the ringleader.
Okay.
But they're not necessarily the star. Again, the attractions, like you got the crazy
right.
And
the mean clown with the frowny face.
Yeah, there's the mean clown. There's all sorts of everything in between.
The scares the crap out of me clown.
Right. But they kind of have to hold things together, and they like for example, when you do go to a circus, this is still slightly different, but the kind of like the ringleader.
Yeah.
You know, and the attractions again are kind of who grabs the attention, but without the white clown, who's kind of holding the space, it can get a little, crazy.
Yeah.
So, just random, but I love them.
Apparently am the white clown.
I'm
Without
just
me, things can get a little crazy.
I am a clown, I think, in my life. I'm a little wackadoo, and that's just who I be.
Well, you know what? Okay. So which clown are you?
Oh, well,
we know I'm the white clown.
Well, my clown was quite unique. So my clown, when I did clown at the time, her name is Daphne, and she's very childlike but extremely mischievous.
The airheaded clown.
Oh, a little bit, but the thing is also she has like kind of like a mischievous side where she'll come out from behind me, likes to do like practical jokes and
goodness.
Yeah, so she can be a little violent. Side. Yeah, she's in a good way.
She's a violent clown.
Well, and that's the thing about clown when you're discovering, and this was something that was really actually quite empowering for me, just going and learning about clown in general, was finding the different aspects within oneself and how you discover your own clown. There's like a whole process of like everything from starting with a simple neutral walk, and then they kind of come forward from within. That's why for like professional clowns, and again, not the let me make you a bicycle out of this balloon style, but the other kind.
Right. The kind of scary European kind.
Yeah, they're
like they all look like they have a secret agenda.
Yeah, well, because they're nuts.
Yeah.
And the nut side is like kind of what brings to me anyway. Like they have such a beautiful ability to show and reflect to us aspects of ourselves, as with any theater really, and aspects of society, and allow and to experience vicariously things within ourselves that we never really allow ourselves to do.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Wow. I think I'd be like a mean clown.
You it's usually kind of an opposite of you, because I'm like super like loving and kind and compassionate, and like Daphne, she's very loving, but she will throw some words.
Yeah, she seems crazy.
Yeah.
Does she talk?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've dropped. I mean, it's been a few years since I've. Oh yeah, 100%.
All right. So some clowns don't talk; they just.
Right. Oh, she's a talker.
They're scarier because they don't talk. Yeah. It's funny. I noticed in all the years I did comedy, and still, usually it's the meanest comics that are the nicest people.
Right.
And the really like, hi, I'm a comic, and my jokes are all funny and sweet, are usually the real butts.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Yeah, the meanest comics, nicest people.
Yeah, I'm exploring stand-up right now. Actually.
Are you?
Yeah. I did I have nothing to officially announce yet, but I recently did a mini 3-minute set in one of my classes, and anyway, I discovered that I'm kind of a dirty comic.
Oh yeah, I am too.
Yeah,
filthy.
Yeah, filthy.
It's horribly embarrassing. People.
Yeah.
unless you like to bring on the filth. I have two modes, like just super sweet and taking care of everyone, or just nasty.
Self-deprecation combined with a touch with
yeah.
Like,
I think my clown would be nasty. That's what I'm telling you. It would be nasty and mean. And I probably would put like a fat suit on, so I was even bigger. Just a giant mean clown. I think it's because I just don't like clowns. So I would create the clown that I despise and then become that clown.
Yeah, you'll find a whole new layer to that. Yeah. You never know what will come up.
Exactly. Really nice people usually play villains too. Have you noticed that?
Oh yes, definitely. That's something that's been showing up. And I think on that topic, something that recently someone shared with me was. If especially as an artist, if you ever are cast in a role that is just not only the most opposite of you, but someone who like the worst villain you can think of.
Yeah.
So at first you can think, how could I possibly connect or make this real? But the other side of it, for me, what I and this has been really helpful, is if this is a character that if this as a real person I would be so against in every way, I'm going to play them even more. Why? So I can show. And for the audience, the baseness of that said character.
Well, and I think that I found in comedy, and I find with friends of mine who've played horrible villains, and people I know who refuse to play villains, that if you think you might be a villain, you don't want to play one.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that you're really kind of an a-hole, you don't want to do comedy that makes you seem like an a-hole because you don't want anyone to think you are.
Ooh, whereas that's good.
People who know they're not don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if I play a nasty character. It never occurs to me that you guys would think, oh, is that what she's really like?
Mhm.
Because obviously you wouldn't. And if
Yeah.
you did, I don't care because all you'd have to do is research me a little bit and figure out I'm not. So the ones that don't want to take those roles, I think it's because they know that they are that role
Yes.
and they're worried the world will see them.
And that's why people need to, and I say that, I'm sure hopefully it's no one here listening, but I'm just going to say this. That being said, so many actors who play the most successful and historical villains can just get reamed. People will comment because they think
Yeah.
they're that person.
Yeah.
Who is it? Lena
Oh,
from Game of Thrones. Oh my goodness. Some people are like, they think she is,
Right.
the literally.
People, do you not know what acting is?
Yeah,
Do we
she's-
not know what a character is?
Yeah. Like,
Poor
she's
thing.
amazing.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I feel terrible for her, but she gets to be that mean all the time.
Right?
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Oh, such a great,
What a great
amazing
character.
role.
Because but people that are like, oh, I wouldn't play that character. I'm like, yeah. Uh-huh. Or people that tell me like, I'm never mean. I'm only nice to people. I've never had a bad thought. I'm like, oh, there's a narcissist.
That's a lie.
Ooh, there's one that squats over her cauldron at night and wishes evil on everyone.
So true.
Not that there's anything wrong with
Oh.
squatting over your cauldron, but don't wish evil on people.
Yes, that's
Cauldron
never nice.
squatting is only for love and light people. Okay, so we got Nicole on the phone, and here we go.
Yay.
Nicole, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Hello, hello. How are you?
We're wonderful. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. So, as you know, I did a little cleansing ceremony while I was in Havasu.
Uh-huh.
All of that went great. Sadly, my mom did not want to participate. So I came to the conclusion that, I gave her the tools that she needs, so now it's up to her. That's all I can do.
Absolutely. You can't force someone towards their enlightenment.
Exactly. So it's crazy because ever since I came home, a lot of stuff has changed. I finally came over a big hurdle of trying to care for people that aren't really acceptance of me caring for them and me helping them.
Uh-huh.
And I came over a big hurdle in my life that I thought was going to put me back for a while. And now I guess my question is, in the next year, do you see me actually succeeding in getting my spirituality store together and helping people?
Of course. Why not? I think you can't let what happened with your mom make you feel set back, sweetie.
Yeah.
Because you tend to take a disappointment as a disappointment for everything. If one thing fails, then everything fails or you're a failure. And you need to not feel like that, sweetheart. Just because your mom is not accepting help doesn't mean that you're not good at giving help. Not everybody you want to help accepts help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people
I think that was just really hard for me because that's my mom, and
Of course.
I'm just, so having your own relative kind of not want to help their spirituality, I think kind of made me feel like that failure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Nicole, if I might just jump in for a minute, this is Shauna. On that note, I just wanted to lovingly point out, I've seen, and I've certainly been there where I've had relatives just not only not support, but straight up deny help, especially when it could be something that could really help them and help them transform their own lives, is mother-daughter relationships in general are, we could talk about that, just those dynamics for hours, but specifically, just something to kind of look at as you're processing this is there's always this time where the roles between mother and child change, where the mother initially, right, who's supposed to be the caretaker who helped to teach you and nurture, there's a shift in dynamics, and that's something that happens especially as children move into adulthood and then continue to evolve and grow. And that being said, it can be a really beautiful opportunity to not only heal old wounds, but also to be there for each other in a whole new beautiful way. There's such beautiful possibility in that. However, that being said, is that as daughters, and as a daughter who is committed to her own personal evolution and transformation and recognizing your own gifts, at the same time, finding a way to connect to peace and release, going right back to what we talked about at the very beginning of this show, releasing the responsibility of the free will of others. And it's so hard with family because you can see the possibility, but if as with anybody, but if mama is not willing to even look at something or is too afraid and is not ready for whatever reason, that's part of her journey. Because maybe down the road there's another situation that's meant to occur to help her open her eyes and to help her recognize what it is that's been, that she's been carrying around that's kept her blocked. Now, we do not need to know the answer to that or what that may be, but just sharing through your love and sharing and being there for her in however way you need to, in a way that's healthy without trying to force or push, you might be surprised at how quickly this entire situation can change and unfold. Do you get what I'm throwing down, love?
And too much too soon, sweetie. She's just changed her entire life. I don't think she's ready for any more change right now.
Okay.
And, the other thing too, last thing I'll say on that as well, Nicole, is, there's something very interesting that can occur. But I don't know how close she lives to you in proximity, but what I will say is when being a partner in a family, if someone suddenly starts to make some positive life changes and starts, even if something as simple as I'm going to take care of my health, or I'm going to try this new, eating technique, or whatever it is, right? That's something really common we can use as an example. The people around you will witness your results. They're going to, so as you continue to go down your path and just focusing on your intention, your mission, and why you're wanting to do what it is that you're wanting to do, you are going to transform. You are going to shift, and people will either at first maybe be resistant to it. Some people may not like it, or some people may like it a lot and get the idea. And maybe one day, maybe closer than we realize, is your mom will say, wow, maybe I do need to look into that, because she'll be seeing your results.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You do you in its simplest form, and let her watch your example and follow. And also, you also have to tell her, and I mean, we've talked about on the air before. How much of the situation can I talk about on the air? Is it, do you want it to be a secret? I mean, I know you've brought it up when you've called.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I don't want none of this to be a secret, because it could possibly help somebody else.
Okay. So Nicole's mom just got out of prison. And when you're in prison, you feel like a burden to everybody that you know. So she already feels like she lives at the mercy of your help. And now you're doing this cleansing for her. And I think she just feels like everything in her world is someone trying to help her from screwing up her own life. And I think she's very resistant to that kind of energy right now. So I think the next time you're going to do something like a cleanse or a moon ceremony or an eclipse ceremony, you should focus on how you're doing it for you, for your son, and for the world. And not bring her into the equation, and ask her if she wants to help you be a part of one that you're going to do for your son and for the world, and that you're going to do so that because you want to get your own online spiritual business going and your own spiritual practice going. And so would she help you be the second person participating in the ritual for your prosperity and for the health and happiness of your baby? Then it doesn't feel like we're doing something for you because you need help because you're the jailbird. Do you know what I mean? I just think that from a pride perspective, that is making her very uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, if you think about it, when you have been incarcerated, and I don't know how long she was in there, but from my experience and speaking with people who have gone through that and have, been in jail or prison in the past, everything's dictated for you. Like you have such a limited free will while you're in those kind of spaces. And at the same time, you can also you have to be very defensive and kind of carefully guard what is yours. And so suddenly coming into the, the outside world, and you have a whole new level of freedom.
Right.
It's, it's also not surprising if she's any sense of being told what to do, unless it's legally what she has to do. For example, probation, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Yeah. Very easy to bucket that. So I definitely encourage you to, with what Sheena said, approaching it in a different way.
She's
Then
culture shock. She's got some culture shock. She's literally fresh out of the box. And it's a lot, you know?
And very noisy.
And she wants you to think that she did well and that she's rehabilitated. Not that, well, thanks for coming out, Mama, but now we're going to like cleanse all the stanky energy off of you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it just makes her, reinforces what a screw up she is to herself.
Yeah.
And she's not. She's coming out now fresh. She's coming out sober. She's feeling like she did something good. Not like, you know, it's going to have to be some whole big, oh, God, look, I'm still the jailbird. And now somebody wants to sage the jailbirdness off of me. I think it was completely unknowing to you because I think your intentions were beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think unknowingly, it just sort of reinforced to her that she's had troubles instead of reinforcing how great she's doing and that this is a fresh start for her, which is what I think it should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, we were down there for a few days, and she really didn't even spend a whole lot of time with my son and I.
Okay.
So it was just, I kind of let it be, and my son and I did our own thing and everything else. So in the end, it was awesome just to see her. So
yeah, and be able to hug her.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And for my son to finally see his grandmother. I mean, that was only his second time seeing her. So Beautiful. It was really good.
Yeah. She's got to be able to do what she's got to be able to do, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've been trying to ask guidance with my spirit guides and everything through like dream or something, but since I've been back, I can't dream. It's not that I can't dream because I know everybody dreams. I just don't remember them.
Yeah, and that's okay. Sometimes it's like, especially with dream work, sometimes you remember and sometimes you don't. One thing that you can do is if that's something you're really wanting to continue to explore and connect to, and if that's a place that you in the past you've gotten a lot of wisdom, is specifically before you go to bed. I always, this is something that's been very helpful for me. Is I'll ask, my highest self as well as and address my subconscious and call in my angels and guides. Is for as I sleep, may my dreams be guided, and may the symbolism and messages help me remember them clearly so that I can receive the messages I meant to receive.
Oh, I like that.
And trusting that even if you don't remember, trusting that whatever the wisdom or integration that was meant to come through and did come through within that dream is in fact integrating, whether you consciously remember or not. It's still within there.
I can't remember what I said 5 minutes ago. I couldn't remember what Shauna looked like till I just looked back. I can't remember my dreams at all. And I wake up and think, God, that was a great dream. That was one. And then usually I'll call my best friend and like spew it out to her. Hopefully she remembers it. Who knows? But because it's there for a little while and then it's gone. And I have some wonderful dreams. So.
And sometimes it's like, if you do remember, I always grab a pen, even if you're half asleep. And even if you don't go into all the details, just do the bullet points, do the symbolism.
Yeah.
Blue boat, house with a red door, went through, so-and-so was there. And then you can go back and look, and as you reread that, sometimes more things will come up, especially if you say you went back to sleep and this was in the middle of the night. And then you can look at the symbolism. And and with dreams, and this is something that's kind of interesting too. Yes, there's a lot of dream books, and you can Google, what does this symbol mean in my dream, like a boat or whatever it is. Yes, those can be helpful, but also I would highly encourage anyone who is having a lot of vivid dreams lately or have had that in the past, not only recognize the imagery or the symbol, but what does that specific symbol and or person represent to you? What does water represent? What does, your third grade teacher, if she shows up, what did she represent? And that's also a way to recognize aspects of yourself that are being addressed.
Okay. I'll have to get a dream book because, I remember dreams from when I was younger. My dreams would be so vivid. And,
oh, totally.
It's scary, some of my dreams that I have that I can still remember.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But I can't remember one from last week. So
Right? It's like it's the ones that stick to, or the repetitive ones can be quite interesting. And you know what? Honestly, Nicole, you don't. Yes, you can certainly buy a dream book, and if that calls to you, get one. But also, there's also this amazing thing called Google, and I love Google.
It's a free
and that
dream book.
It's a free dream book, and you can also
Somewhere
look at
everyone who's ever written a dream book is like, God.
I know.
Shauna
I'm
Grace.
so sorry.
Oh, like
you can. I love and respect
mail's
it all.
coming. Shauna Grace.
Why would
told
you
people
demean
not to
my
buy
dream
book,
book?
Shauna Grace.
Like, well, and I don't get me wrong. I love dream books too, but
I have dream books.
Google, it's there. And the thing I like about that, because everything is online right now, you can access anything, is you can also look at different authors' interpretations of symbols. You'll see a lot of similarities, but also some really interesting additional distinctions. And so for you, then that's something that you can then help explore, reading that and then combining it with what does that represent to you? Because in the end, it's your dream. So your symbolism, what things feel or look like or can mean, your interpretation in the end is the most important. Like water to me can mean something different to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, every time somebody asks like what something would mean to them, I'm always, well, like, especially with stones, I'm like, well, what does it feel to you? Like, what's it, what's the first thought that comes into your head?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I can tell you about the energetic properties of a ton of crystals because I'm the crystal whisperer. It doesn't, but that doesn't mean if you want to hold on to something and that's not what it's designated for, if that's what it is for you, well, that's great. That's that's
okay.
There is no right or wrong in spirituality as long as you walk in the light and you're not taking advantage of anyone else. There is absolutely no right or wrong. Yeah. And it's I grew up with two fine artistic parents. My mother was the great repurposer. She could take things and turn them into different things because she just felt like it. So, you can do whatever you want with a crystal. Just tell it that's what you want it to do. But there are things that they are good at that they can help you the most at. But if you want to carry, if like hematite is for grounding, but if you like hematite for connecting, if having a piece of hematite in your hand makes you feel connected, okay. I mean,
high five.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like programming whatever crystal you feel drawn to do what you want it to do.
Well, yeah. I mean, naturally there are things that they naturally do.
Yeah.
But I know Shauna as a psychic medium. But if I was writing a web series and I asked her to be in it, she could do it. Or if I could ask her to model something, she would do it. Or if I asked her to come over and bang on a cajon in a drum circle, she would do it.
Yeah.
Like, not everything. Crystals are like people. They don't just have one thing. They have one thing that they mainly do. And that by that one thing, I usually mean 3 or 4 things. Because if you look up crystals, there's usually 3, 4, 5 main things they do. But there's and then also if you put them in conjunction with something else, like curry is not always for Indian cooking. But it is often for Indian cooking, and it's often made of cumin, coriander, garlic, but not always. Sometimes it's made of other things. So it's kind of that sort of thing, right? I think in spirituality, there's no absolutes, and also garlic is garlic. If you make garlic and you put it with cumin, it's different than if you put it with paprika. It's different than if you put it with rosemary. Crystals are like spices. You can mix them with different things and have different results.
And that's my favorite way. Because I work a lot with crystals. And right now, I'm wearing a pretty necklace. You're welcome.
It's beautiful
for you. It's by Tools for Evolution, and it had this one I'm wearing right now is moldavite, phenakite, and dandruff.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yes, girl.
I'm on my patio right now, and a falcon and a crow just landed on my parking structure.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
Together.
Those are those are beautiful. If Google animal medicine. That's what I would do right now if you don't already know the symbols. Both of those are very spiritual, very
messengers.
Huge messengers, and direct connections to messages from Creator. And crow, from my understanding, it definitely represents not only the more spiritual, magical, metaphysical aspects of said messages, but also falcon there's so much more nuance in what I'm even saying. Is very much again messenger, creator. Also, there's a lot of strength. I believe there's also something about leadership, and similar but distinct from eagle. With falcon, if I'm not mistaken, and with a lot of just winged birds in general. This for me, that also is showing being able to see both the macro and micro interconnections, because they have the ability to zoom in and see the mouse running, and at the same time are seeing from such a higher overview perspective.
Yeah. And birds are like flat out trans mediums.
Yeah.
Like they will step aside and let a spirit come in and look through them. Sometimes your dead loved ones will look at, if you ever like in the kitchen and a bird just lands on the windowsill and won't stop staring at you, that could be somebody you love that passed, because birds will step out of the way like a trans medium does and let a spirit come in for a while, and then it leaves.
Yeah. And crow also.
Crows especially.
Oh yeah, and a representation as well, I believe, for messengers of change as well.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are on this. I believe we're in the middle of the big eclipse today, and so
we all feel a little bit like
woo, right?
I'm
feels like
shaking right now.
Yeah. So, and think about where you're at, and this is for anybody. But this is a huge moment of shifting energy. I mean, a lot of people in just the cosmic kind of communities and conversations in general, like this is everything that's that we've the actions you've taken up to this point this year and moving into between now and I believe it's the 28th of July. You can look that
the
up.
whole month. Wow.
Now is the time, put those actions into physical form, that you are in the middle of transformation, just as in this conversation and the recognition you had related to your mom. That's change. That's you are now moving. Things are shifting, and it's okay to allow things to transform, to evolve.
Yeah.
And you just literally crow and falcon are just right in front of you. Hello.
Yeah. You got to give your mama some time to just let her be who she needs to be, sweetheart.
Thank you guys so much.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
The same way that you do with your son. Like, you don't tell him what to be all the time. You let him go be a little free spirit. And you need to sort of do that with your mom, too. The only reason you don't with your mom is because you're scared she's going to get in trouble again.
Yes.
But everyone's scared she's going to get in trouble again. And she knows that energy, and it's freaking her out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know?
Thank you so much.
You bet, sweetheart.
You're
You take
welcome.
care of you, and we love you, and let us know how you're doing. And if you're in the chat room like Nicole and you want a free reading, it's so easy. You just go to text me at 818-437-0886. That's 818-437-0886. And we will absolutely set you up. And we're going to get Brenda on next. This is Lightworkers Unite. The wonderful Shauna Grace is with me. I have a question. People kept asking me in Dallas about, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the show, about, what it is that I am and how I quantify what I am spiritually. Psychic is an interesting topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
The word psychic.
Oh, it's loaded.
Because I didn't use psychic when I first started. Remember, the first time I used psychic was last year when we went to Embrace Your Spirit conference.
And you also were even more comfortable saying intuitive, because there was still
right. Well, I love that. I mean, if you ask me what I am basically a spiritual counselor and a minister and an empath and an intuitive. Those are how I identify. Empath and intuitive are how I identify. Counselor identifies really what I do, spiritual counseling. But I am a psychic. I just think psychic is a weird word because it doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of a blanket term.
Right.
And I am a medium, but I consider that part of the counseling, I guess. So psychic medium is something I sort of took on because it was something that people recognized. Because I find when you use a lot of the less popular words, people don't know what they mean. So they gloss over you and move on. And so I don't have a problem saying psychic medium. I just think it's kind of an interesting thing because the word psychic, right, doesn't really mean anything except that you have gifts.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to just yes and that.
Okay, good, please.
And that one of my dearest friends, who is a fellow beautiful psychic medium, her name's Megan Lane. she's local here in Los Angeles. Shout out to her. Hey, girl.
Hi, Megan.
Is one of the first things when she and I were having a conversation, and I love how beautifully she put this, which is not all psychics are mediums,
That is true.
but all mediums are psychics.
That's true.
And so, first off, the term psychic, massive emotional and or people have many different varying personal
Right.
responses to that.
They want to know, are you in a tent? Are you a gypsy? Do you have a neon hand on your
Right?
window?
What does it mean?
Right.
Yes.
Is there an owl on your shoulder?
To me, if you're just focusing on the term psychic, to me represents extrasensory perception. And so
Sure.
when you break it down to extrasensory perception, this is why this term has so many different meanings to different people. If we're taking out the negative stereotypes,
Right.
just put those to the side. Because extrasensory perception can come through in many, many different forms.
Right.
Right. That's where the whole conversation, and something I teach a lot on is, as you know, and I know you do too, is the intuitive gateways. Right. Claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairgustance, clairalience, if I'm saying it correctly. And
What is clairalience?
so gustance and alien, those are just fancy ways of saying psychic smell and psychic taste, which
Oh.
as a medical intuitive, I taste and
Oh.
smell
I
psychic
always
things
wondered
in
what the
so
words
many
were
ways.
for those things. I always wonder what the words were for the smell and the taste.
Yeah. There's so many other
What about
varying.
when you touch things? Is that sentience?
You can categorize that in different ways. To me, I do personally put that into the umbrella under clairsentience, because
Okay.
you're utilizing the physical form,
Right.
and that connects to, if you go even deeper, relates to the nervous system. How do we notice that we're responding or feeling what we're feeling? Our
Right.
nerves.
So there's only 5 words instead of 6. Because touch doesn't have its own.
Right, but you know what? I bet, because humans love to categorize, I guarantee
I'm
if someone
categorizing
Googles this
right now.
right now, Google is getting so many shout outs today. If you Google right now, like the proper term for psychic touch,
But maybe it is clairsentience, because claircognizance is when you just
right,
think something.
divine knowing.
Right. When you feel, yeah, exactly.
And
So-
there's and as this conversation has expanded,
I'm going to change my name to Divine Knowing.
divine knowing.
Welcome to Lightworkers Unite with Divine Knowing.
Oh,
that's going to be my.
Lord.
Give people take psychic names. It's going to be Divine Knowing.
Oh my goodness,
It used to be Celestial Supernova, but that's long.
that's beautiful though. I do enjoy
Maybe
that.
Divine Knowing is my clown name. It's like a real
Yes.
mean, fat psychic clown.
You have to have humor in that, because also it's like, also in truth, I don't know if someone had like a super crazy name like I know all. I'm always like, I'm running away right now.
I know all.
Like I know all. Like I have all answers. Like seriously, when people, I'm gonna say it, Sheena. I'm feeling it, and I have no
Oh, here we
hashtag, no
go.
filter.
Here we go.
It's coming.
The dream book people are already coming for you, Shauna.
I know. I'm just like, you know what? It's the eclipse, and I'm owning my voice.
Oh goodness.
And I say this with love, is when you are looking for a practitioner, psychic, medium, or any intuitive, anyone who you're going to for spiritual and or metaphysical guidance, mentorship, connection, even if it's something as a psychic reading, you should definitely, number one, research, feel into how does this person resonate with me,
Right.
and I'm going to say it.
Uh-oh.
Any
This is about the neon
Ad?
hand.
any ad or advertising that is saying, "Oh, I'll help you know your winning lottery numbers. I'll help you clear this type of situation. I'll help you here, $10 for a palm reading, and then there's a dark cloud, you've been cursed and you need to pay me $10,000." This has happened
Let's talk
twice.
about the curses.
Yes.
So I have clients, and Brenda, I know you're on the phone. Hang tight, love.
We love you, Brenda.
I have clients that have given upwards of $100,000
Yeah.
to have curses removed.
It's sick.
Yeah. You know how you remove a curse? You raise your own vibration. Now, some people say curses aren't real. So this is what I think about curses. The idea of a curse, as we think of it in mythology, is not real in modern mythology. However, if somebody is sending you bad juju,
Consciously or unconsciously.
right, they could be dinging your vibration if you're not keeping your vibration high. So I'm not one of those new agey folks that believes there's no darkness. I think there's the yin and yang. The universe is a balance of light and dark, and there it is touching each other. There are people who have darkness within them and negativity within them, and they do, like the malignant narcissist, they do want to harm you. Some want to harm you three-dimensionally, and some want to harm you spiritually. And you can feel that negative stuff coming at you.
It hurts.
But the way that you remove that is you raise your own vibration up to the point where you're like Supergirl, Superman, and it doesn't bother you anymore. No one person is going to come in and do what? Like burn a little sage, rub their crystal ball, and remove the curse. It's not a curse. It's negative intention being sent by somebody else. And you have to learn to block it yourself by cleaning out your chakras, having somebody do a healing on you, learning how to raise your own vibration, getting healthy, getting happy.
And when you say have someone do a healing on you, just to take that into more, that also does not cost $100,000.
No.
And
no.
I personally find with curses and all this kind of things, just as we've all had intense emotion, and even those who are very intuitively or psychically gifted, when you consciously think negatively, or like want to oh, I hate that person, or oh, because we're hurt or whatever it is,
then you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah, well, you're also kind of sending these little arrows. Like you may not, even if you aren't aware of it, it's like they have the effect. And so for me, I calling and working with your highest self, with the angels, with God, you, Holy God Creator, whatever vernacular you prefer. And also, if you have experiences, especially with be it energetic cords or anything like that, starting with a ball of golden light in the center of your heart chakra, and feeling that like that unconditional loving energy that is your highest self, your soul, on a soul level, feeling that and expanding it. And literally you might feel areas where you may have had something sent to you from internally, almost like, and this I found to be so effective. And so I encourage anyone to just try this out and ask your angels to guide you if you have any other questions, or you're welcome to reach out to me if you want more details. And then literally visualize pushing the arrow from within out.
Yeah.
So you're not just cutting a cord on the outside, like with traditional cord cutting or etheric cord cutting. You're going from the internal out, and then giving that and transmuting that energy, be it through the sun into Mother Gaia, to have that be transmuted to help heal, so she can use it to heal her own planet, whatever it is. But over the last 2 weeks, I've had new clients come to me and have had recent experience, and these aren't dumb people.
Right. It's
the power of fear and the power of fear-based persuasion.
Yeah. Absolutely
has a massive impact. And so if you ever have a second guess, or if someone's trying to encourage you from a fear-based perspective that you only need to go to them, or this is why your marriage is unhealthy or messed up, that's such BS. Walk away or get a second opinion.
Back away slowly.
And it just
with your $100,000. For $100,000, if someone's going to do a $100,000 cleanse on me, they better be pulling my organs out one by one, cleaning them with OxyClean. They better spit shine my entire 32 feet of intestinal tract, because $100,000 to clean out, wow, that's going to have to be some cleaning.
Right. And here's the thing too, and here's just a really easy way too. If you're looking for a practitioner in your local area, or a healer or anything like that, number one, of course, referrals are great. But the other thing too is, and I know you and I believe are similar in this way, and everyone that any other practitioner that I recommend is also this way, is it's one base price. So if you're booking an individual session, it's this much for an hour. Mm-hmm. The only difference, and this is something I will say, is as someone who teaches and trains and helps coach and mentor whether it's in the psychic development world, or the entrepreneurial building your business world, or both, that is different, because that is a training. That's why there will be it's not just a one-off session. Yeah. But that is distinct. You're not going to come and pay me, because I have to do a healing on you, you need to pay me this much, but this much only gets you tune in with your guides. No.
Yes, and I will say yes, and I do charge a little more for healings, because they're exhausting.
And what's your time with that?
What's my time?
Yeah, because do you have longer time? You probably takes you a little longer.
It
as
does,
well.
but and it's a more exhausting. It's pretty much this. It's an hour, but it's much more exhausting
And you're not doing
because I can't do them back to back. Like I can read
Yeah.
for people. Like I can finish you at 59 and take you on the hour, and I don't get tired. I actually get exhilarated when I clean gunk out of people's chakras. I need to take a little break afterwards
course.
and recharge myself for like a half an hour.
Yeah.
So I can't work in that time. That's it.
And
That's
so
why.
you're covering
It's
the
a
full,
little bit more.
Yeah.
It's like an hour. It's like an hour and a half.
Which makes perfect sense.
And sometimes I keep people that long. Sometimes I also do prep work that I don't charge for.
Right.
And I continue to clean as you continue to drink water and sleep for the next 24 hours. I
Right.
find it to be more tiring. I wish it wasn't. I wish I could say that, but there's something about cleaning out people's chakras. It's a little tiring.
You and I are going to have a conversation about that because I have some great tools that I can totally share with
All
you
right.
that will help with that, because that is something that definitely can occur when you are doing healing work.
Yeah, because I mean, I can read for 10 hours straight and feel fantastic and not feel drained at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, and that's also why, like, for me as well, if I have a client who wants me to drive to them in Calabasas,
Right? Then it's a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a travel
Sure.
fee.
Of course.
You know?
Yes. That's the only other time that it's more is if I have to drive. If you're willing to come to somewhere close by me,
Totally.
then even though it's harder to do in person because it's more inconvenient. You have to schedule it and be there and
Mhm.
drive somewhere. I'll do it if it's close. I have no problem with it. But
Yeah.
but if I have to drive out to,
And that's very and that's why it's important to recognize these nuances. It's not that's why it's like I don't encourage people just to like walk into just anywhere. Where do your research and feel into it.
Mhm.
But that's notice how the price points are and how transparent someone is with them.
and if you need me to go to Calabasas, then I'm sorry, it's $100,000.
No.
Brenda, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Good. How are you, Sheena? Hi,
Wonderful.
Shauna.
It's great to have you
Hey.
here. How may we help you, my friend?
Yes. Today I just found out that one of my best friends passed away,
Oh.
and she's pregnant, and she was
Oh.
about to have her baby this month. So I'm still like in denial because
honey.
we've been best friends since we were 13 years old, 12 years old, and I've known her since I was like 7 years old. So like right now it's like I really don't know how she's doing now, and with the baby, and she also had 3 other children that are still young. So I was wondering if how is she doing now? And
When did she pass? Was it today or a couple days ago? How long ago?
yes, just a couple. I found out around like 11 a.m. today.
Okay.
And
what was her first name?
her first name is Alma.
Alma.
And what about the baby?
So they said that the baby is also has already passed away in her belly. So both of them had passed away.
Oh, and I could be told. Okay, yep. Okay, there it is. So, couple things, Brenda. At least what I'm feeling, it's very new. So there is absolutely this energy of transition. I don't know if this is just the residual from the body, but I am feeling getting a lot of sensation on my through my right arm, which for me, I'm definitely being drawn to the circulatory system as well. And so for me, sometimes that is a representation. I don't know if there was any type of like, sometimes I don't think it was this, but like just as an example, like sepsis or something where there was obviously something internal that also could have been affecting the situation. So I don't know if that's related to the baby or whatnot, but I just have to first off say that. I definitely feel her very much supported. The little soul of the little child absolutely is definitely connected and already crossed on the other side. Obviously, the other thing too, I'm feeling a lot of, again, being drawn to my chest. Sorry, I just, it's very physical sometimes with the, with things very, very this close.
Yeah.
Do they know how she's passed? May I ask that? Was there something related to heart, chest, and or circulatory as far as you're aware?
They said that it's part of she had a high blood pressure.
There it is. Yeah. Yep. That's why I'm there. Because some circulation and then heart pain. Yep. Ow. Oh, I'm so sorry. With Alma, what I am feeling is she, and the way I'm hearing it, and this often is not surprising, especially with some passing this close. I can hear her energy, but she's kind of one of her guides is actually speaking on behalf of, because again, there's that transition period. You'll notice probably over the next 7 days, think you might even be feeling her even more yourself, because she'll be in a different space to be able to really communicate more fully. What I will tell you is, again, very much supported. There was definitely a bit of a surprise. She did not expect to go, but she is definitely, to answer your just question, is she okay? Yes, she's okay. And she will be. She's not stuck. There is crossing. She's literally still in that process of moving forward. And I feel like because it was so sudden, I'm definitely feeling a lot of the, she's not an earthbound by any means, but sometimes like when they're still kind of trying to cross because of the love and connection, obviously with her children. One thing I am picking up is she's still very close around them right now, and the other people, her immediate, her biological, the children around her. But she definitely is very much supported, and I am feeling Archangel Azrael, who's absolutely there and helping her cross, and going to be helping with the grief process, not only for you but also the family. I'm so sorry.
Did the baby pass before her, Brenda?
That's what they said,
Yeah.
because when they took her to the hospital, she was already drooling, and so they don't really know what's happening to her. And they were saying she was having a stroke and all that, and they checked about to check the baby and all, but they said that they couldn't find any more like heartbeats.
Yeah. And again, we could be totally wrong, but with that too, I know the high blood pressure and all of that certainly comes into play, but I keep being drawn to the possibility of that sweet little baby had crossed a little bit beforehand, a little bit, how do I say this? More than just a couple days than what they might be thinking. And so the energy, that's why I almost get the energy. And again, I'm not saying it was this, but when I feel sepsis on a physical level, that just basically means like the massive overload of toxins, right? Or like things, sometimes it can be almost like infection because of a situation that has gone awry internally. And so I feel like her body, just with the combination, it came on very quickly. But the little spirit is definitely with her. Oh yeah, and there is so much support. It's just it's a tragedy that occurred, but everyone in the end is certainly going to be okay. I can feel all the confusion as well with that from her, with regarding the people around her. Do you have another question about that situation, love? Does that make sense?
I have something I'd like to say really quick.
Yeah.
So the reason I ask you about the baby passing first, excuse me, is that she had a very, very intense soul contract with that child.
Mm-hmm.
And almost when she realized the baby was gone, which she realized before she actually passed, she was kind of happy to go and be with the baby. I know she has other kids, but there was something specifically about that child's soul and her. And the child came back for her and just kind of walked her across, with the help of Archangel Azrael's people. So sometimes we don't want to be here without another soul. And that's a very soulmate relationship she and that little one have. I feel terrible for her other children. But it was just too much to be here without that soul. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So right now I'm still in denial, because she's very kind, she's very humble,
Yeah.
and she's very loving, and she just she tried to be positive for everyone.
Yeah.
And we were just talking not too long ago, because I just had my babies too. We're talking about sending her the baby clothes that I had for my son, because she's also having a baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then when I heard about that, I was just in denial. I was just and it's just because she's very close to my family too. And it's just so sad.
I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
sweetheart.
I'm always praying for her soul too. And, she's, as long as she's not hurting anymore and, she's celebrating in heaven.
Yeah.
And,
Very
Absolutely.
I'm just hurt for her children because the children are very young and,
Yeah.
her husband is working abroad and, and it's just sad for her husband to go back
Yeah,
home
I do
and not
too.
seeing his wife and the new baby.
Well, and the other thing too, on that note, just to add to this, something I'm picking up is the soul contracts and things of this nature. She fulfilled what she was needing to do in this life. And I say that in the sense of not only the children that she has bore and has impacted, although they are very young, but the amount of you can feel that kindness and that love that she naturally brought in who she be. Even though we here, who are still here, don't always understand it, there are multiple layers to this situation. And so I would say keep bringing comfort, keep bringing that love and connection. And she'll absolutely also be connected to the children here, as well as to you. She really was such a true example of just the natural, loving mother, the giver, wanting to be kind and to support, literally almost feel like being there for your neighbor. Like she had that kind of energy to her when she in how she gave, which is such a blessing. And she really was able to show that as an example in many ways. It's tragic that it ended at the time it did for everyone who is here. But she and that little soul are definitely connected. And she's gonna come visit you. I feel like quite soon. You're gonna start to feel her a little bit more too. So just notice if suddenly, out of nowhere, you start to see not only if she just suddenly pops into your mind out of nowhere, although right now, of course, she's gonna be on your mind a lot. But also like if you find again, you might notice a couple feathers. There's also something I keep seeing like an image that will relate to her. I don't know if it's like a particular like color or like a type of clothing piece, but there's something that's going to start popping up. You're going to see it as a symbol, and that we're going to start recognizing, oh, that's her. So just keep your mind open. Don't be surprised if suddenly you see something that kind of gives you that spark and makes you think of her. That's her way of also communicating with you.
I will. Thank you, Shauna. And I also have a lot of friends and family that are mother that are passed away. And, when I'm feeling something like that, I just talk to them and, I always also ask for their guidance to be a strong mother and, love my, and guide my children while I'm still here too. So thank you so much for the guidance and all the messages.
Absolutely.
Shauna,
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, you bet, sweetheart. Yes, and she definitely is going to be a guiding force for you and a guiding spirit for you. Now that she's passed, she and her little one both, and what an interesting relationship those two have had from life to life to life.
Absolutely, and the clairaudience for you, Brenda, is definitely you do hear their responses. So notice when you almost hear the response when you do speak to them, it's like it'll feel similar, but it's often it comes through on the internal aspect of the ear. So it's like kind of like the internal ear chakra, which is how we receive on the clairaudient level internally versus externally. And it'll feel like a different vibration. So it'll sound like her, but almost feel like your own thought. But it's again, the vibration's different. So if you take a moment after you say a message to whatever loved one or whomever you are connecting to and sharing with, be it her or someone who's already been on the other side, a grandmother and so forth, you do feel them and you'll feel that resonance. So I would encourage you. You have that beautiful gift, so you can trust what you receive.
Yeah, use that gift. It is beautiful, and also, be happy for her, because as much as she loves her children that are here and that are still earthbound, the connection between her and that little one, she just couldn't without him. She just couldn't do it. So, interesting. It's kind of an interesting, strange non sequitur since you brought it up, Shauna. I had a near-death experience when I was 23, and I had a medium tell me once that basically knew about the experience without me even mentioning it before I started talking about it a lot. That my home job, we all have jobs when we're home, that my home job is to work with Archangel Azrael on people's transitions.
Oh, I love that.
That's my thing.
Oh,
So,
that's beautiful.
Who knows? I'm some kind of a celestial traffic cop apparently. This way, nope, not you. Nope, you come. You. Nope, nope. This way.
Oh my goodness. Well, and
So-
Azrael, as you know, very much connects in not only helping us cross, but also healing.
Yes, and that
processing
was
grief.
her specific thing was
Yes.
that I work as a healer with him.
Yeah.
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 Before I ever would have identified as a healer in any way, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
You're like, what? No.
Say what?
Oh yeah, he's been such an extraordinary help for sure when it comes, especially as a medium too, because as your mediumship expands. I mean, there's such a great archangel to obviously work with on your team. It makes perfect sense, and definitely such wonderful energy. My goodness.
What angels? I know you work with all angels, and you're an angel communicator. But what angels do you specifically are kind of your
peeps?
your team?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I would absolutely Archangel Chamuel, who is just definitely one of the beautiful archangels that definitely has shown up for me a lot and has been such an amazing support. Archangel Uriel, Metatron. Ironically, though, fun fact for those of you who do know about archangels and so forth, Archangel Metatron, not Megatron, but Metatron, actually in the apocryphal text was the prophet Enoch prior to ascending. And so it was so funny when I first met Archangel Metatron, if you will, I was like tuning in. I'm like, which archangel is this? Like I'm kind of tuning in, wanting to, and I heard back, he introduced himself as, Enoch. And he's like, I'm Enoch. And I was like, Enoch. Oh, Metatron. And so it's that's one way in which he and I will communicate. But Archangel Metatron's great, really been so helpful, especially with not only working with kind of sacred geometry and so forth, but very much for me, very helpful in choosing to take action and being guided related to divine life purpose. Archangel Michael too. I don't publicly share it on like my website or necessarily or have that as like an option, but I do. It's been quite interesting how I've been called to do major clearings in physical spaces, as well as if people have had and are experiencing forms of attachment or integrated entities, if you will. People might know that more as like when they think about possession or exorcisms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't advertise that's something I offer, but I have my own reasons for that. But
you do exorcisms?
Yes. I tend to use the term extractions and actually helping people working with the said person who's dealing with that. And I have a very specific process in that, but it kind of just presented itself. And I feel like for those that are, because not everyone's called to do that kind of work. Not everyone's called to do clearings or in particular spaces or clearing homes, et cetera, et cetera. But that's something that's literally just kind of shown up. It's usually like I'll get a call out of nowhere, be it from a referral or someone just happens to be like, I have no idea if you do this, but they'll just call me, and then they'll share it, and it's usually very legitimate situations. It's not like just an earthbound, because a lot of times too with paranormal activity I found in homes and spaces, often it is an earthbound, right, or residual energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able
Absolutely.
to discern between the two of those, and earthbounds usually they're kind of sometimes if you are having like physical things move or things like things of that nature, think of it as someone, they're stuck and they're kind of having a tantrum,
right?
And
or sometimes it's just interdimensional.
Yeah,
it's not the spirit of a person at all,
right?
It's something that moves between the dimensions, or like sometimes what we call an earth spirit. It's something that's here on the earth.
Yeah.
And it's older than any of us, older than any life on the earth, older than humanity, and sometimes it's hella pissed because you're on its land. Yeah,
and being able to kind of discern between these two, and then that being said, there's also and I say this without, I really don't want anyone, don't get scared, you guys, but also just. That being said, there are of course entities. Just as there's light, there's also dark and shadow, and bullies, if you will, that like to that do have a negative intention. And so those often I'll get the call to deal with some of those, and And my
Yep.
process is not only, sure, me walking in and yes, clearing, but it's your space. So also helping teach you to maintain the boundaries. And so that's something that I definitely love. And I highly encourage people to really take ownership of their space, because you are the living being. You are the one who's incarnated in this realm at this time. Therefore, your free will trumps the other free will of any fourth dimensional or otherwise being that is wanting to cause, that does not have your highest intention in mind. So literally own your power.
Mm-hmm. Just tell them no.
Yeah.
Tell them you're not welcome in this space. But I also believe in doing the crushed eggshells and the salt
cascarilla.
and doing every corner and claiming your space. I think it's
That's
smart
part
too.
of it. Absolutely.
Especially with interdimensionals and earth spirits.
Oh, yes.
Because they're like, well, wait a minute, this is our space. It's like, no, it's not that you're 25 anymore. Get out of my kitchen.
Right.
I mean, you have
That's
to.
part of maintaining your responsibility,
Yeah.
however you choose to do that.
Yeah.
I love like cascarilla powder. Amazing.
Yeah.
Crushed eggshells.
Cascarilla powder.
Cascarilla powder.
Yeah, it's always crushed eggshells to me. My mom was big into crushing eggshells, and I think that witch didn't even know why. But she loved crushed eggshells, and I don't think she understood what she was doing with them, because she didn't really have any formal training in craft until she was maybe like in her 60s. I'm guessing. It was all a big secret, so we're guessing. But I think she just instinctually knew that some things were good. And I think, like, salt your house. Like, seriously, get a big old thing of salt and just walk around your house with it. Because as Shauna said, there are negative things. There are things that are not, of the light. And why allow them into your home?
Right. And it's just your space anyway. The psychic debris that we can bring in. And again, it doesn't have to be some big, scary, like, entity thing by any means. Like, often it's just like that kind of like debris, especially as empaths. You feel, when you walk into space or around a lot of people, and you can feel kind of the upset, you don't need to carry that, learning how to honor and hone your natural sensitivities, not shut down at all. They're one of your greatest gifts. It's not a curse in any way. I'm funny that we're using that terminology. But really
we're back
honing
to curses now.
Right?
Now we're back to
ding,
curses.
ding, ding, full circle. But really, owning your sacred gifts and owning your space. I feel like it's there's a simplicity to it. Salt, and I always say whenever you remove, it's very important, especially if you were specifically using sage, as you must always replace.
I love sage.
Oh, I love it too. And it's so
I
strong.
like a nice clean. I'm the girl that wants to have my intestinal tract cleaned out. Like, I like a nice clean scrub. And then I put something gentle in.
Exactly, because it's your space. So put in your intention. What do you want the living room to feel like? What do you want your bathroom to feel like after you've done a sage? Because if you don't replace or don't put in a different intention, and this is especially with sage, because it's such a strong tool to use, a strong focus. Like Palo Santo or other things, it can be a little different.
That's a nice soft thing that you can kind of put in after the sage. Little Palo Santo, little lavender.
Right.
Soften what's after you've scrubbed it to death. Then a little soften. First you use the Ajax, then a little Glade plug-in. It's like that.
Yes, I love your symbolism today, Sheena. That's amazing.
I'm all about cleaning products.
Cleaning,
today.
It's great.
I just got home from Dallas and went, God, my house is dirty. I gotta clean before I go.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Well, but if you don't replace, right, with sage, it can almost feel like a little bit of a void because it's so clean.
Yeah.
And so I always say in that case, why not fill it with what you want? Because it's your space. Don't leave that up.
And you should all the time. I mean, when you smudge someplace, you don't smudge it and then walk away. Smudge it and then fill it with love, intention. Bake something in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Put in some oils or some incense that you like. I mean, the idea is not that you just constantly live in a smudged environment.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that would be like if you lived in a totally sterile home with nothing that smelled like nothing all the time. And the minute anything smelled like anything, you ran in and cleaned it with a cleaning product.
Yeah, it'd be
an
nuts.
odorless cleaning product. I don't even use odorless cleaning products. Everything in my life smells like something.
Right. And what's interesting, that analogy of when we were talking about the cleansing is, and in talking about you owning your own empowerment in a space, is there's a difference between like if someone's just running around and saging and cleaning everything, what energy are you coming from? That feels a little fear-based to me. It's like the same people who are like, oh, the aliens are coming. Let me put up all this craziness and all this stuff around my,
The aliens are coming, Shauna?
on the wall or da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
yeah.
there's a simplicity to it. And all it takes, sage, if that's what you want to use, or whatever calls to you is perfect.
Yeah.
You know, but then also it's simple. Then choose, I want these, whether it's angels or the energy of creativity, prosperity, serenity, sensuality, you know, connection, intimate, whatever it is that you want. You know, and you'll notice, like, when people walk into your house, or if you have a business, great with their business too, the intention is like, oh, this feels good. Oh, I feel so clean in your bathroom. And you're like, oh, well, you know.
My soul feels so clean.
Ba-bum-bum.
Gee, your soul smells terrific. Well, thanks. I just saged it.
I just little cleanse, little rose.
But literally, like, I would douche with a selenite wand if I could. I mean, I guess technically I could.
Well, they sell intimate products made out of crystals now, right?
I know, but do they make selenite?
Oh, I think I've seen them.
Really?
Not that I'm like, going to a lot of places, you guys, but I'm just, it's trending.
I'm going to a lot of places.
You can
we don't
find
have to
all
hide it,
sorts of-
Shauna. You mean like the
what
weird
if my
yoni
grandfather's
eggs?
listening?
Like the strange yoni eggs? That's a very strange thing.
Oh yeah. Oh sorry.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
the yoni eggs.
Basically, like sit on a rose quartz. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, there's so many, and the gift of all that is making people just kind of think about new ways of how they connect to their own bodies and intimacy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And connecting to that beautiful. To me, it's like a mix between primal and
She's loving
just
this.
kind of the sacred divine feminine.
I don't know if I ever had sex with a crystal, if I would ever go back to humans.
You know,
It would be very hard to go back to humans after a crystal.
yeah. I mean, I could see that. I'm sure there's experts in this field. I may not be one, but I'm sure there's someone you could
trust
consult
us.
with.
We're professionals, people. I just think that kind of energy and that kind of connection and the way that crystals just ground into you and connect to you.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard to go back to people who often are disconnected.
Yeah.
It would be disappointing. Like the way that some folks, now I'm going to get really, some folks have a hard time when they switch from sex toys back to people.
Right.
Because there's a consistency to something that has a motor.
Yes.
That a human doesn't have that
true.
consistency. So it's hard to go back to the fallibility of human rhythm when you've been with the infallibility of machine rhythm.
Yes.
I would think with a crystal, it would be the same thing, only it would be with connection.
Very possible. Unless you have a partner who's willing and open and comfortable in their own sexuality and sensuality, or you can combine the two, in which case you can have just a whole great time in so many ways, I am sure.
Hashtag fuck like a crystal.
There it
That's
is.
what we all, that's what I wish for all of you. We should all do that like a crystal. Be the crystal.
Yes.
But sometimes we don't, because we're thinking about ourselves and we're getting distracted and we're worried about this and we're worried about that. And crystal's only mission is connection. Wouldn't it be nice if more people were like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I'd date more if that was how people were.
And it was, and yes, and genuine, and also
connected.
Yeah.
People get so disconnected. They're with you, then they're not with you, then they're with you, then they're not with you.
It's self-preservation.
And I think I've developed like ADD. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. If you're not, I forgot about you.
Oh yeah. Well,
stay connected, people. Stay connected to people that you love. Don't like, oh, yeah, well.
And notice if you're doing where that's coming from, because a lot of times it's a survival mechanism. Because if you get too close, there's a subconscious or inner child having a freak out, being like, oh my gosh, the other shoe's going to drop and I'm going to be abandoned and I'm going to be, it's not going to always be good.
And a fear of loss of control.
Oh, huge.
If I really care about somebody, then I can't have my own way all the time. And what if they leave me? What if I freak out? What if I can't handle it? What if I disappoint? That loss of control.
Yeah, and what that represents to the subconscious.
I had an interesting thing happen yesterday and last week, where I basically, because of my knees, I couldn't walk the airport. Oh. So I had to get the wheelchair and do the pre-board, where literally they came and picked me up outside where you leave your luggage, and I had to be at the mercy of other people to take me places like to the bathroom, to the gate. Now, look, I can get up and walk to the bathroom here, but when the bathroom is one place and the end of the terminal is where you have to go, and I had to basically be at the mercy that when I got off the plane, somebody would be there with a chair to push me, that somebody would get me from place to place because I couldn't walk fast enough to get to the gate before the next flight took off. Wow. And then the way that people look at you when they understand you're that person, not the wonderful, amazing people who push me. Southwest Airlines don't ever fly any other airline, the sweetest people, but just the people in the terminal. And another interesting thing, when someone is pushing someone in a wheelchair and other people are walking and they see the chair starting to pass them, they'll walk in front of the chair and slow down. The same way that when you're on the freeway and you're trying to pass, somebody will cut in front of you and slow down rather than let you pass. That is the strength. Talk about asserting your control.
Microaggression.
And not wanting that wheelchair to get somewhere faster than where you're going.
Me first. I'm entitled.
Me first, it's me. And you really kind of see that on airplanes, right? People's obsession with me first.
Oh, especially with the Southwest. Like when you think about going on, because, you first come, first serve, and you pick your seat.
Yes, yeah.
No. I'm number 9. You're 10, so I'm actually right here.
Yeah, no. There was me and another lady in a wheelchair, and man, she was in way worse shape than me last night. And there was a man sitting next to me, and he literally popped up when the plane stopped, cut us both off, grabbed his suitcase so we could get off the plane first. And I thought, oh, that's a very interesting, because at any moment the universe can decide it's your turn to walk with the cane, as it did for me this year. It's your turn to learn the humility for a while. And you need to be careful about cutting people off, because this poor lady, she could barely stand up. Yeah. And then this other nice man got my suitcase. I was on one of the flights, and the flight attendant basically wouldn't even help me with my suitcase. And I pulled it down. My knees are a little weak and the suitcase is heavy and it might have fallen on my face. Luckily, it didn't knock out a tooth. If it had, Southwest would have bought me a tooth. But, it just amazes me how some people are so empathic and lovely. And then other people just only think about, going back to the beginning of the show, only think about what's in it for them. Yeah. It's so strange.
That's when I want to ask, who hurt you? Like, when people are really like, who hurt you? Where, like, because it's obviously like a wound. For me, it's like, you can feel the damage. And we don't know what's happening. Maybe they really had to pee or was having number 2. Like,
that's so sweet of you. I always think so am I from the light and you come from the planet known as a bag of dicks? Maybe, Shauna, I think you're a nicer person than me. Because I really do believe sometimes people like that just pop out of the box like that.
Right, but
and sometimes they're hurt, but
right, and some people, yes, and to all of that. And I'm just gonna also throw out there that, at least for me, it's like, because that energy it doesn't feel good to me when someone does that to me. But if you really think about, because we don't know, he literally could have had, he could have been having massive diarrhea about to come out, and he had to get out of there. I mean, like, we don't know. And so, and even if, say, it's not that
massive, if you learn nothing else from this show, please learn about massive diarrhea.
Yeah. And, well, sure. I'd love
Shauna, the medical intuitive.
Woo!
She knows when you have massive diarrhea. Where can people find you online?
You guys can find me, and I'd love to connect with anyone who is feeling so inclined, and I'm so grateful again to be here today. It's you can find me online at www.shaunagrace.com, SHAUNA, Grace, GRACE.com. I'm on Facebook, as well as, of course, Instagram. Feel free to follow me there and my handle is at the Shauna Grace. Feel free to send me a message, email me, private message, let me know what's up. And thank you so much for connecting. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or, of course, Miss Beautiful Sheena.
I'm at IamRaisingYourVibration.com and SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. My movement of peace, love, kindness, and unity is at IamRaisingTheVibration.com, and our nonprofit hub is raisingthevibration.org. Please check out wearelivingwiththedead.com and wearealtered.com, my 2 terrific web series, and my new pastoral engagement with the Founders MCC Church at SaturdayNightSpiritual.com. That's my interfaith service monthly, and we do broadcast those around the world. I will be back for the Embrace Your Spirit conference at miraclesofjoy.org in October, November with Shauna, with Joy Koff, with Patty Negri, with Merle Singer. Come out and see us. It's going to be so much fun. And also just, anything you need, find me. 818-437-0886. Sheena at IamRaisingYourVibration.com. It's Haunted Playground right here on LA Talk Radio. You know what happens here, my friends? Every Tuesday from 12 noon to 2 p.m., if it's a psychic, a spooky, scary, spiritual, it belongs right here on the Haunted Playground. Come and play with us. It's Psychic Tuesdays right here on LA Talk Radio. We'll be back from 5 to 7 p.m. today with more Lightworkers Unite during the Sheena Metal experience. See you next time. Raise your vibration. I love you all.
Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.